Howdy folks, before we jump in, just a little disclaimer that the Cidal mod is still being worked on. I know I include this at the beginning of every video, I just don't want people to worry or think that it's forgotten about. I'm not forgetting about it, it's just taken a long time because there's like 100 designs to do. But either way, enjoy the episode. Doodles! Howdy folks, and welcome to a new show thing I want to do, and that is making Psyducks. In case you're new to the channel or you just don't remember the past few videos, my roommates are literally me from other universes, and if you went on the adventures that we've gone on, you would have kind of picked up a thing or two about the multiverse. It interests the crap out of me, and because I like Psyduck so much, I wanted to do a new series about making Psyducks of every type. You know, there's a few videos about, people making their favourite Pokemon in every single type. I kind of wanted to do that for Psyduck, but with a twist. I don't want to just make a Psyduck with every single type, because that'll just be 18 different coloured Psyducks, and as much as I love that, I always like to go a little bit weird with my things. So, instead of just designing specifically different type Psyducks, we're going into the hypothetical multiverse and just make some hypothetical designs if Psyduck was designed under different pretenses. There's going to be Psyducks what are just in different types, but there's also going to be Psyducks what are meant to be designed as regional forms, convergent forms, the future and past forms, mega forms, or just completely different versions. I feel like I don't need to explain anything more. You should all get the gist, and if you don't, feel free to ask and I'll respond, as people tend to do with questions. Okay, anyway. So today, we're going to redesign Psyduck with 3 different types, starting with the 3 most basic Pokemon types: water, grass, and fire. If you're all on board, let's jump straight into designing the first one, and have a look into the universe where Psyduck was designed as a grass type. So I think the theme of this episode will all be regional forms. I don't think we're going to be redesigning Psyduck necessarily, so much as just making 3 regional Psyducks, all of the 3 main types: water, grass, and fire. Sound good? If it doesn't, it's my show, too bad. So for designing a grass type variant of Psyduck, the first thought I went into was, a duckweed. Not a duck smoking cannabis, but, duckweed. It's the name of a plant in ponds. It's the weird little plants that like cover a pond and blocks the sunlight getting in. They're pretty bad for ponds, it's why they're called weeds. So the thought process was, duckweed covers ponds and blocks the sunlight. Let's have a Psyduck, what is also covered in duckweed and can't see because there's duckweed growing on it. A big thing about making these Psyducks from other universes is making sure they're still Psyducks, And I feel like one of the most defining features of a Psyduck is its headache. So when designing these 3 forms specifically, and most of them going forward, I always try to incorporate and give them at least one reason why they would have a headache, because if it's not a headache, then it's not a Psyduck, is it, So I like the idea that there's duckweed growing over the Psyduck head, so it literally can't see, to the point that maybe it bumps into things which causes its headache, or maybe it's the fact that, there's no sunlight getting into its head, so its eyes are always so used to the dark, to the point that when it does see, the bright light dazzles it and gives it it's always slow and daisy and sleepy, which is a coincidence that it's duckweed and it's a dopey, slow green duck, but either way. Another thing I was thinking about when making these regional forms is obviously what region are they meant to belong in? I'm sure in future episodes I will make, hypothetical, what if there were regional Psyducks in Unova? What would they look like? But for this episode specifically, I wanted to create hypothetical region forms for regions that don't exist yet, So this could be for a possible North American region where there's a Psyduck, because I'm pretty sure duckweed is native to North America. It's in lots of other places, but, plus I really like the idea of, because obviously regional forms typically reuse the body shape and the posing of the original form. So I wanted to reuse the Psyduck form, but instead of holding his head in his hands like he normally does, he's using his hands to lift up the lily pad so he can see. I thought that was a cute little touch. I think the original idea was to base it more on maybe a United Kingdom regional form for Psyduck as well, because I made a dark green specifically like a mallard duck, which is, again, it's common anywhere, but it's also in the UK, and ducks are very common in the UK, but I realised I probably could have made it better, and since there already is a UK region in Galar, we'll leave that for a future episode where I make a Galarian Psyduck and, make that more Galarian-based. But, either way, for now, here is a Psyduck from the universe where they made a Pokemon game based on North America, and they made a regional Psyduck to be in that region. this is Psyduck. We all know Psyduck, I don't need to, Do you all like it? I'm really proud of it. I'm not really good at, I've got a very specific style in the way I draw, so drawing, redrawing, an actual thing what's already been drawn, like Psyduck, it was a little bit tough for me, but I hope you liked it. And now let's move on to the second form, the Fire-type Psyduck. Now, before I made any of these, and before I even decided to make this an actual series, I had two ideas I was 100% set on doing. An Ice-type, what we'll save for another episode, and a Fire-type. Why? Because the idea of a Fire-type Psyduck having a headache because his literal head was on fire was really funny to me. Psyduck's always been one of those designs, well, it is really cute, but when you learn about it, you realise that it is in constant pain because it suffers from headaches. And in the anime, Psyduck was Misty's punching bag, so it was always it was kind of funny and cute, but also a little bit sad when you realise that there is a cute Psyduck being punched around by its trainer. I wanted to kind of recapitulate all that in this cute, funny design, but when you realise it is literally a living thing suffering from burning headaches, literally. So the reason this Psyduck has a headache? Well, literally, a burning headache, which is a real thing. And I also wanted to kind of include some, anxiety or panic attacks to the idea of, sometimes things get a bit too much and sometimes you do feel like you're on fire with sporadic movements and things like that, So this Psyduck also, it needs to stay calm because when it ignites bad and it causes this flaming literal fire headache, I'm not necessarily making light of things like panic attacks or anxiety as much as I am just like taking inspiration from that idea. I wouldn't, I don't roll like that, come on. So its body type, I based it obviously off like a matchstick. You'll see when it's colours that it's got a big bulbous red head like a matchstick, and the rest of his body's meant to be like a beige like a matchstick. I said matchstick like 5 times. I also kind of made its beak and feet like a crispy golden just to make the joke of it's a spicy duck, like what you get in a Chinese restaurant or something. It's a literal spicy duck, So obviously you could say that this could be perhaps from another Japanese region or a future Chinese region, It's meant to be a somewhat joke Pokemon, where it's literally a matchstick fire. Cause Psyduck's always kind of been that. He was like a comedic relief Pokemon for a bit in the anime, So I kind of wanted to recreate that. Make this jokey Pokemon, make it a little bit funny, Include some tongue-in-cheek that it's a reference to Chinese restaurants, but also, heavy Chinese workload or something. You could say that, thousands of years ago when Psyducks came to this region, the overworking environment caused them to have like anxiety and panic attacks, which caused their psychic powers to literally just burst out into flames because the work was too much. Because, I'm pretty sure in China, overworking is, relatively normal over there. So these Psyducks are literally suffering from creative burnout, where their psychic powers are just fire now, Again, these aren't meant to be taken as literal design. The idea is that these are all from different universes where they could be a design, Anything's possible in the multiverse. So yeah, I'd imagine this guy being just a pure fire type. It doesn't spend any time in water or anything. I forgot to mention, but the previous duckweed form would have been in grass and water. I should have mentioned that. Oopsies, I'm not a professional. So I guess this duck is also technically based off the Peking duck, because it's meant to specifically be like a Chinese restaurant duck. Although it's not, it's not really relevant. The point is more of a joke, matchstick, spicy duck thing, So either way, this is a Psyduck from the universe where they made a Pokemon Chinese game with a region based on China, and this was a regional form they had. These sentences are really awkward. I had to record them like 5 times. I love this one. I'm really happy with the colours and the little eye effects or whatever. Do you like it? No? I'm going to assume you said no. Okay, that's fine. I'll live. Feel free to prove me wrong in the comments, but either way. Third form. So at this point, I wonder how many of you were waiting for the water-type Psyduck, because for those who don't know, Psyduck's already a water-type. I know, mind-blowing revelation. I also like how I said, for those who don't know, as if people don't know Psyduck on a video specifically about Psyduck. I say that, you all watched my Pikmin video despite not knowing what Pikmin was, and I'm not saying I'm ungrateful, like, thank you, I love you all, as a friend, a professional relationship, and we're getting off track. So, after learning about the African black duck, which is a black duck, believe it or not. I know, crazy. I thought it'd be interesting to make an African region, a Psyduck for an African region, a hypothetical Pokemon game based in Africa or African region. What is wrong with me? So either way, I like the idea that, there's this African Psyduck based on the African black duck, I know Psyduck isn't like 100% a duck, he more closely resembles Kappas, but I'm not doing this series for Ducklet. or Porygon or Farfetch'd. Oh, I do like Farfetch'd. No, Psyducks. We're staying on Psyducks, at least for now. But either way, since we're basing this off, you know, an African black duck, I like the idea of the African way of holding water. It might not just be in Africa, but, you know, you always see in those African videos of, you know, people carrying the buckets of water on their head. So I like the idea of maybe this Psyduck carrying water on its head in a little bucket. Again, keeping with that Kappa theme, because Kappas also have little bowls in their head. This time, Psyduck makes a bowl on their head made out of, you know, mud and clay because it lives near riverbanks and things. In fact, I kind of like the idea that, you know, Psyducks, they don't live near rivers, but they like water, so they go, you know, they build their nests far from rivers, so they have to go to the rivers to carry it. So they make these little clay bowls on their head to put lots of water in so they can move, and they can carry the water with them, you know? Does that make sense? I hope so. Like, they don't like to make their nests near rivers or ponds. They like to dig their own mud holes and, like, fill it up with water themselves for some reason. Something silly like that, you know. But I like the idea that obviously because they're putting all this clay and water on their head, it weighs their head down, which obviously is the reason for their headache and which unlocks their psychic powers slightly. Which is why I like the idea that the water actually bubbles, you know, because of their psychic mind powers kind of gets infused with the water on their heads, which bubbles out. It creates like this magical brew on their heads, basically. However, because of this, the psychic powers literally get squeezed out of their heads, meaning they've got none left. So, you know, Psyducks aren't normally psychic types anyway, but this one would be water and ground because of all the mud and clay it has. And I like the idea that it can learn some psychic type attacks, however, most of that is only thanks to the magical water it has on its head. Most of its other attacks are very physical and ground and water type. And again, I like the idea that the pose, you know, Psyduck normally holds its head, instead it's now holding the bucket on its head, you know? I kind of like the idea. But either way, oh, here we go again. This is a Psyduck from a universe where they made a Pokemon game based in Africa, and they made a regional form for Psyduck in that game. There we go. That was alright. First take. Boom. And, well, there you go. All three Psyducks. We've got the grass-type duckweed Psyduck, which is a grass and water type, the matchstick spicy Psyduck, which is a pure fire, and we have the clay-carrying African black duck Psyduck, which is water and ground. Which means out of the 18 official Pokemon types, we've basically taken out, what is that, 5? Fire, grass, water, and ground. It's 4! I can count! Did you guys like this? Are you excited for the next episode? I know I am. I've got a really cute design I hope you'll all like. But you'll have to stick around until next week to see it. Or don't. It doesn't, you know, it's going to be out there anyway. But, you know, I'm rambling at this point. I hope you all like this. Really shorter video compared to normal. So you'll have to let me know if you like the short videos or if you missed the long ones or if you... What do you want? What do you want from me? Tell me. Tell me specifically and I will answer you. Okay? Okay. But if not, I'll hopefully see you all next week where we make 3 convergent Psyduck evolutions. So, Pokemon what aren't literally related to Psyduck, but have evolved similar things to look like Psyducks. Yeah, get ready for that one. Or don't. Again, I'm rambling again. I've got a problem. I know. I'm going to sort that out. But in the meantime, you all to have the best days of whatever. What do I normally say? What's my outro? I'll see you all in a bit. No, not that. It's... You all enjoy the rest of your day, or if you're off to bed, have the sweetest of dreams, and I'll see you all in a bit. Toodaloo!